In light of increasing number of stone pelting incidents in Jammu and Kashmir, India's top court has issued notices to the federal government, the Jammu and Kashmir government, the Ministry of Defence and the National Human Rights Commission on a plea seeking protection of the armed forces. It has sought directions to formulate a policy to safeguard the rights of the armed forces personnel against human rights violations by unruly mob or individuals obstructing or attacking them during the discharge of their military duties. The petitioners are all children of army personnel. Remember, after a 22-year-old army Jawan was killed in stone pelting in Kashmir, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat has said stone pelters are overground workers of the terrorists and that they should be dealt with sternly. And joining me for more in this story is my colleague Jessica Taneja from New Delhi. Good morning, Jessica. The children, we are told, are the petitioners are children of the armed forces personnel and they've been issued notices against the government. What are they saying or seeking in their petition?
Well, good morning, Ramesh. Just the two daughters of army officials, one retired and one currently serving. Both of them moved the apex court today and, in fact, got a favourable order. And notices have been issued not only to the Jammu and Kashmir government but also to the National Human Rights Commission, which was supposed to be made the party earlier. Now, they say that there were more than 9,000 FIRs withdrawn by the Jammu and Kashmir government against the stone pelters. Now, that has caused sort of outrage amongst many of these family members of the army officials who say that this is not protecting their fundamental rights, because after all, when the army officials are attacked or stones are pelted at them, there is not much they can do. In fact, we've seen the controversial issue around the use of pellet guns, and now it becomes a very helpless sort of a situation for army officials when stone pelters go on streets and create a ruckus. So to that extent, it was a brief hearing, Ramesh, but the court has issued notice. Now, interestingly, the National Human Rights Commission has been made party to this, because earlier, whenever any issues which were raised concerning the stone pelting issues were transferred by the National Human Rights Commission to the State's Human Rights Commission. Now, they are also going to file a reply, and this case can come up in the next 4 weeks.
And also very quickly, Jessica, the court has, in fact, the petitioners have sought directions to formulate a policy to safeguard the rights of the armed forces personnel against human rights violations by mobs or individuals. Now, specifically, what kind of policy are the petitioners asking for?
Well, they're asking for set guidelines or a policy framework that could ensure the fundamental rights of these army officials who are, in fact, all doing their duty wherever they are, in fact, in Kashmir. And that is exactly what is required by them. And it's long overdue anyway, Ramesh. You know, the policy framework was required because we've seen the issue of stone pelting. It reached court, I think, more than 2 years ago, and it's still continuing. We keep hearing of incidents. And in fact, we also talked about one of the army officials who was, in fact, attacked by a mob of stone pelters and eventually succumbed to his injuries. So, of course, there have been incidents, but there has been no set guideline or a policy framework that could ensure how the army officials would be protected and how they would protect themselves, or rather how would they defend the moment a mob comes towards them with pelting stones at them. So this has become a very necessary issue, and now that the court has has sent out notices, the reply from each of these parties will be an interesting thing to see. But later, when this comes up after 4 weeks, we'll have more clarity as to what kind of policy will be framed around this when we hear the case at length.
All right, on that note, Jessica Taneja in New Delhi, thank you for that update. Appreciate it.